everyone. Hey, welcome to another episode of The Front. As always, you can check out my website at leadtheteam.net for free sales training, for motivational content, and for leadership tips. And if you would, cruise on over to leadtheteam.tv and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I do new episodes of The Front every Wednesday and Sunday, and I would love to have you join in and be a participant. If you're into podcasts, I do those on just about every podcast platform out there. Google Play, Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, you name it. Just type in The Front and Mike Phillips and it should show right up. So if you would do that. Now, whether you're watching the live episode or if you are tuned in and listening to a podcast or watching it on YouTube afterwards, please participate in the comments down below. Share your thoughts and share your opinions because often those lead to a really excellent future show. So today I am talking about phone follow-up tips right now on The Front.
Thanks for tuning in to Lead the Teams, The Front.
Yes, hello everybody and welcome to The Front. My name is Mike Phillips and I will be your host. Today we are talking about phone follow-up tips, and this is something that, while many of these may be my original ideas, they may be scripts and ideas that you've heard of before. So it could be a good refresher and a good reminder for some people. Also, here's a real quick plug because my friend Glenn Lundy runs a group titled hashtag Rise and Grind. And I am tuned in with my Rise and Grind sweatshirt today. And if you are not tuned into the Rise and Grind group on Facebook, it is absolutely phenomenal. It's not motivational, it's inspirational because there's just so much awesome positivity that is shared within that group. So I would encourage you. Glenn does a show at 5:30 every morning. It's 3:30 a.m. my time, so I usually have to catch the replay, but I would encourage you to do that. Let's get into talking about some phone follow-up tips. And when I'm talking about these phone follow-up tips, there's been a lot of debate lately on sales process and appointment process and phone process and processes for my process. And so I thought, I'm going to share kind of what my process is and my take on some of this today. So as I run through this, I have 13 points. So I do have some notes kind of here on the side so that I can keep my place, because it is something when I'm doing a live episode, I need to keep my place and keep it flowing forward. I did a training on this over the course of about an hour and a half. Now this stream is not going to be an hour and a half, so I'm going to touch on each of these points. My hope is to keep it to 15 to 20 minutes or less. So thank you everybody who is tuning in to the live episode. I sure appreciate it. It's phenomenal. Fundamentally, when it comes to auto sales, now think about this for a second. We all talk about process. You have to get involved in the process. You got to have the sales process. We got to have the appointment process. And I do think that is valid, but keep this in mind. Buyers have a buying process that does not necessarily coincide with our sales process, right? They have a method in which they want to purchase, and it doesn't always follow the path that we want it to. So rather than focusing on the processes tonight, I'm going to talk about them as a path. Because in general, people will journey down a path with you in hopes that you can reach the same goal. Like a buyer comes down the path. The hope at the end of it is that they get to buy a car. And if you're in auto sales, the hope at the end of it is that you get to sell a car and everybody's happy. Or if it's another product that you sell, then certainly, the goal is head down the path together to reach that common goal. While I will refer to it some as a process, we're going to talk about the path. And part of the reason is because people on both sides, they don't want to be forced into the other side's process. They don't want to be forced. Customers don't want to say, oh yeah, stick me into the sales process. Sounds awesome, right? Or, oh, I'm calling up. I just got to get through their appointment process to be able to make it. That stuff's no fun. But they are willing to follow you or walk along with you on a path. So let's talk about the path as far as phone follow-up. Now, here's a few things to remember. First off, when you pick up the phone, this is for either way. And I'm talking about phone. I know there are a whole bunch of other ways to communicate. Social media, texting, video, the video chat and video email is huge right now. There are all kinds of other opportunities. But what we're sticking to tonight is talking about phone. Because before that customer has come in, and this is kind of my philosophy, the goal is to graduate somebody from the email or from text, from a non-emotional state, to the phone where you can inject voice tone and you can engage kind of your personality and show how you are a genuine person that cares about them. And then from the phone into either a showroom or graduated through the purchasing process, depending on your product. So here's a few things to remember. And this is kind of the 20,000 foot view, if you will. Number one, before you ever pick up a phone, and this goes for the same thing on car lots or in any sort of sales, number one is you've got to be prepared. You've got to do the research so that you know something about the person. You know something about the product. You know something about their past experience or their upcoming experience. Now, part of being prepared, and this is one of the things that Anthony asked me earlier today. He says, hey, make sure you talk about the process or the methods. Part of being prepared is that you have a predetermined path. This is where your process comes in, because you want to confidently and expertly move somebody down the path, down that funnel, so that you can have a successful conversation together. When you're getting prepared, I'll just run you really quickly through what my process is through the phone. And again, when I say my process, this is the one I use. Doesn't mean I invented it. It's probably been altered from many other sales or phone trainers. First thing you got to do is you have to greet the customer. It's either on inbound or outbound phone. You got to greet the customer, right? Get to know them, learn a name. Number two, get their name, number, and or email address. How do they want to be communicated with? Number three is you want to qualify them. What is it? What are the wants and needs? What are their desires on the product? And 2 and 3 are interchangeable, in my opinion. If you're doing it right, you may get right into a conversation and you guys are just flowing and gelling and everything's good. And you're talking about what that phone qualification process is. And then before you know it, you got to stop and go, oh, hey, by the way, forgive me, my name's Mike. And what was your name, right? And so you kind of go through that reintroduction. So 2 and 3 are interchangeable there. The fourth thing that you want to do then is you want to set a firm appointment with directions. You know, if you're in B2B sales or if you're in automotive sales, if you're in automotive sales, you want to set a solid appointment and drive the customer into the dealership. If it's B2B sales, set a solid appointment and make sure with the person that you're going to that you know where the heck you're going, which door to go in, what people to talk to, who's going to direct you to the right individual. The next thing on the list, then I'm going to reiterate what is my name, my phone number, my contact information should something come up. And then the sixth thing that I do within our phone calls, 100% of the prospects, you should be asking for a referral. Yeah, even if it's on the first phone call. There are many statistics that show if you asked 100% of the people for somebody else they know that could benefit from your services, 25% of them, 1 in 4 will probably know somebody. So you have to ask if it's conducive to it. Okay? Second thing on my 20,000 foot view, when you pick up the phone, dial with intention. Expect the consumer to pick the phone up. I know it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But when you're going to pick up the phone, expect that they're going to answer. A lot of times people will start that phone call, they'll initiate the contact with the expectation that it's like, please let me leave a message. Please let me leave a message. No, expect they're going to answer. If you've got to create two-way communication to further the sale. The third thing, when you're on the phone, smile. You see all the time in the videos that I'm doing when I'm talking to you guys, smile because it comes through in your voice. It allows you to loosen up a little bit. People will hear that on the other end of the phone. You can hear when somebody's crabby on the other end of the phone. If it's a customer, you can tell if they're a little bit loose and they're laughing with you and having a good time and you're gelling and there's a smile on their face. That smile comes through in the tone of their voice. The fourth one this one, if you're in sales, you're going to hate me for saying this because people feel awkward about it. The fourth one, you got to stand up while you're on the phone. Yes, I said you have to stand up while you are on the phone. I insist that my reps stand up when they're going to set an appointment. Why? Because when you stand up, it is proven, right, that you actually breathe differently. It opens up your diaphragm. So since you're breathing differently and you're getting more oxygen into the system. You're creating better blood flow, and it creates a higher level of energy. And people can hear that in your voice too. Right? So yeah, you got to stand up because Tony Robbins says it. You want to change your outcome, change your physiology. So in this case, what I'm telling you, because you can't change the physiology, you're not there to physically shake hands with them, either for a product sale or in a showroom if you're in automotive sales. So stand up, change your own physiology, change your outcome of the phone call. Make it easier to set the appointment, right? Breathe deep, get good blood flow, have high energy. Everybody's excited and they all show up. Well, that's how we would like it to seem. So, like I said earlier, if you are prepared, you're dialing with intention, you're smiling, and you're standing up. Now you've dialed the phone. What's next? What am I doing now? Okay, I dialed the phone and it's ringing, and the hope is that there's only two outcomes. One, they're going to pick up, or two, it's going to go to voicemail, right? For the sake of this conversation, let's assume they pick up the phone. Because that's what we want them to do. Let's assume we're going to have a conversation. Leaving messages, that's a different training episode. So let's assume they pick up. The first thing, and Jason brought this up in his live stream last night, if I am calling for a female, my wife's name is Brooke, so I'll use her as an example. If I'm calling for Brooke and a female picks up the phone, now here's the novel idea, because what happened over time is this would have been a normal conversation in your past. But now that you're a professionally trained sales consultant, it becomes something else entirely. When we're calling somebody, right, and we pick up and we go, "Hi, could I speak with Brooke, please?" She's going, "Okay, who's this?" Right? So here's what you should do. If I'm calling for Brooke and a female picks up the phone, simply start the conversation like you would with a friend. I go, "Hello, Brooke?" She's going to respond with, "Yes." So you set the tone of your call with a yes answer and let it flow from there. And you could say to yourself, man, that kind of goes without saying, because that's, if you're talking to a friend, that's how it used to be, right? But somewhere along the way, everybody got involved in training and what was professional and what was acceptable, and it changed. It morphed into something else. So I'm telling you, if you're calling for a female picks up, "Hi, Brooke." If I'm calling for a male and a man picks up, "Hi, Mike." Yes. Get them to set the tone with a yes. Keep moving forward. As simple as it is, I'm telling you, you want to set more appointments with potential customers. Start your phone call off on that positive note. Here's the second thing, and we train my BDRs, and one of the reasons I'm bringing this up today is because one of my salespeople says, "Hey, I heard you say this, and I want to know why." When you're on, especially a follow-up call, we do a lot of follow-up calls if we're in sales. Here's where I'm going to twist your brain up a little bit. Do not use the words follow-up or touch base. It is totally unnatural unless you're in sales. That if you're in sales, if you've been incorporated, you think it's natural. And I'm telling you right now, think about this. If I am calling, Lily's on this broadcast. Okay? Lily's on this broadcast. If I'm calling, my wife says, that's exactly how I would have sassed you. She would too. She would have been like, who's this? Okay, so if I'm calling Lily, let's say, and Lily lives out of state from me, he's going to fly in state and visit me this Saturday. And who knows? It could happen. But let's say he's going to fly in state and visit with me on Saturday. If I were calling Lily to check on his flight, is there any reason in the world that I'm going to call up and say, "Hey, Lily, it's Mike. I know we're buddies. I was just following up to see if you were still coming in Saturday"? No! It doesn't work that way. I'd call up and be like, "Hey, Lily," and he'd be like, "What's up, bro? Hey, man, you still coming in Saturday afternoon?" That's a normal conversation with a friend. If you want to set more appointments, have a normal conversation with a friend. If I'm calling him, same thing. "Hey, I just wanted to touch base and see if your flight's still coming in Saturday." Why the heck am I going to call and touch his base? Yes, I said it that way deliberately, so hopefully it sticks in your head. Don't ever say those two things. Just tell people the reason you're calling. "Hey man, wanted to see if your flight's still coming in Saturday." If you are selling an automobile, for example, or say they inquired, say the customer inquired on a Chevy Tahoe, and they're saying, "Hey, I'm interested in a Chevy Tahoe." I'm calling them and I'm saying, "Hi, Brooke?" She says, yes. I say, hey, fantastic. Listen, you were looking at a Chevy Tahoe here, and then cruise on into your conversation, right? It's simple. It's one of those things sometimes we need reminded of. So, and that's the third one. Tell the customer, just simply lead into it. Tell them why you're calling. I don't remember who it was, but again, it's been much debate in the auto industry yesterday that or the last, not just yesterday, I heard this again yesterday, that they're saying, hey, I'm calling up and I'm following up and we're trying to follow this specific scripting. You need to stay on that path of what are the 5 things I need to collect, well, first greet them and so forth, then get a name, then get a number, then qualify the person as to what is your product, set a solid appointment, share their information, ask them for a referral, right? But now you want to head down the normal path of conversation and telling the customer why you called. A normal path of conversation. Somewhere along the way, we as humans, or we as salespeople for sure, if you're not in sales, maybe it's not applicable to you, but certainly we as salespeople, we as humans, we've lost that ability to have a real deep connection with somebody and actually learn about what's important to them. Learn about what is valuable to them and then be able to share with them what we can do to help them move forward. Charisma, caring, conversation, connection, actual human connection, those things will sell far more widgets or products or automobiles than you trying to stay on a sales process and a sales script and pushing what's the current product, what's the current promotion. Yes, it's important to know your product. Yes, it's important to know your promotion. But the most important thing is to know the person. Make sure that they know that you feel they are valuable, because when you behave genuinely and you act as though someone is valuable, because they are, they'll see through it if you're not really genuine, then in turn they will value you. Now please, if you've gotten something out of this episode, give it a thumbs up. Share it on your social media. Check it out on YouTube, leadtheteam.tv, on all kinds of social media platforms. I would love to connect with you. If you have questions or ideas for future episodes, shoot them at me. Send me a DM. Whatever your method is to communicate, that would be fantastic. So that's going to close out this episode of The Front. Thank you so much for joining me. And until we speak next, I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day. We'll talk to you soon, everybody.